What they do, all of my gram addicts out there. This is Orion, aka Brass Balls. The 10th year anniversary of hunting season is in full effect. And here we go on another track that I am pulling back the layers on and letting you know the insights into what went into it. And on this one, we're going to talk about this track called MPC. Now, the reason I called it MPC is because, as the hook suggests, if you listen to it, I say money, paper, cash. Which brings me to the motivation behind the lyrics of this song. MPC, money, paper, cash, all has to do with the history of money and currency in our society. All has to do with what government's role is in our economy, what influence they have, what power do they have, and the Federal Reserve being nothing to do with being a federal system. It is a private company printing our money, and how all of that came about. I was doing a lot of research around this time. YouTube was obviously as big as it is now. It was big then too, and a lot of documentaries were popping up, such as Fascism in America. There was the Zeitgeist movie that blew up, and countless other documentaries. But aside from that, if you were like me, you were going into all kinds of different wormholes. There is a difference in YouTube videos today diving into the subject versus back then, I will say. But, I researched this just as hard as I researched the last video that I did for the track, Question Everything, where I dived into the whole reptilian thing. Well, I went in just as deep on this one. And this track, I feel, is kind of a continuation of another track that I had called True to Self, where I kind of dive into the same topic. But this one goes in a little bit deeper. I like to put everything into context, because when you listen to songs that have more substance and more in-depth lyrics, you got to put the time into context. And this is 2009, 2010, around that era. A lot of things were taking shape. You had Occupy Wall Street. You had all these foreclosures happening. You had all these banks and big corporations failing and then being bailed out by the government, while regular people were getting kicked out of their homes. You had the Tea Party movement that happened. George Bush had 8 years in office, so we were fresh off the heels off that. Obama came into office. I knew it would be the same thing with him in office. I knew it's, just different actor, same Illuminati, same bullshit. But God forbid if you called it out at that time, because given that Obama was our first black president, if you said anything wrong about Obama, to many people, they viewed you as a racist. Now, another thing that was taking shape around this time was Facebook. We had just came off of MySpace. Facebook had taken hold completely, and MySpace became a digital ghost town. Facebook is where it was at, even over YouTube. And everybody was on Facebook talking shit left and right, debating all sorts of topics, myself included. I'm not guilty of this. I was debating motherfuckers like crazy on Facebook, to the point where I had to get off it, and I was calling Facebook debate book. People were waking up to the fact that, does this country have our best interests in mind when they're bailing out all these elites? Another documentary that I didn't mention was the 1% documentary that was made by the son of the son of Johnson & Johnson made this documentary that is out on Netflix and everything, called the 1%. So all of this really came out in the forefront. Shit, I didn't even mention Enron. 9/11 was still fresh on people's minds. Everything that happened with the WMDs and the false flags and the Iran and all this shit. So there was a lot going on, and that really fed into the psychosis of this whole album and shit, man. This time, actually, I was able to find the book that contains all 3 verses, including the hook. So you can see that right there. This is verse 1. There you go. Verse 2 and verse 3 with the hook right there. And yeah, man, and some research is noted there as well. So I don't play with this shit, y'all, man. I take this shit very serious. I'm very passionate about this hip-hop thing that I do's. But shout out to One Take, who made the beat. This was one of 2 joints on the album that he produced. And shout out to Tony Suarez, who recorded and mixed the joint for me at Artificial Memory Studios. If you notice, the intro is actually a sample that I had taken from a CD that they give to people when they're trying to become citizens. The CD breaks down our Constitution along with a whole bunch of other things. And I was in charge of putting this CD onto an iPod for my brother-in-law, who was becoming a citizen at that time. And when I ran across this little dialogue, I was like, I gotta use this shit. This shit is too dope. So that's where that came from. And then I had this whole vision for a video on this song, which once again wasn't able to become total fruition, but I was able to make it like a loose concept, if you will. Shout out and rest in peace to the homie John Wilson, Smoking Mirrors in the building. But basically, I had John Wilson go off to an ATM. He notices that there's input for his headphones, proceeds to plug it in, and then booyaka, you hear my song. And basically, the video that I wanted to do was him jamming out to that, but then also like green screen the ATM and then have me rapping within the ATM. I wasn't able to ever make it happen, and it is what it is. But there is this makeshift YouTube proof of concept video that I did with John Wilson that you can peep on YouTube. Yeah, around the time that I recorded this track, I was real hyped about this album because this was one of the early tracks that I recorded and mixed. I remember I used to always perform this song along with the Orion Massacre Part 5 track. Those were two songs that I loved performing. I love all the verses on this one. I don't feel like any verse is better than the last. I feel like they're all at the same level. There's no drop off for me, at least as a writer. So yeah, man, this was a dope one to do. The hook was real easy for people to catch on to when I was doing it live. And I should bring this shit back when I perform, man. I miss doing this track, actually. So yeah, that's what it is. This is Orion, aka Brass Balls, signing off. Make sure to go check out Hunting Season on Spotify, all the streaming platforms, iTunes, Tidal. It's on all that shit. Go take a listen. Hear the track for yourself. This was one that a lot of people hit me up about when I did release the album, and a lot of people were feeling this one right here. So go check out MPC. Peace.